Hey geeks, I'm Trey Guillotine, and I'm talking about my top 3 favorite Wolverine moments. Let's geek out. If you haven't already seen Logan yet, I highly recommend you go see it, but I do have to warn you that you need to make sure that you know this movie is rated R. It is a very hard R. There's lots of blood, lots of carnage. It is a very hard R. And I think a lot of people who are going to see this movie are not paying attention to the fact that it is rated R and just looking at it, oh, it's Logan, it's Wolverine, it's X-Men, it's superheroes, it should be great. This should be great to bring my 5-year-old to go see. And they don't actually pay attention to the rating. As when I went and saw it, there were so many parents, not just kids on their own, who were upset that they couldn't buy their ticket to go see Logan because it was rated R, but parents who were bringing their little kids to go see this movie, and it's not a family-friendly movie. I mean, the movie does have some family elements that are, happy, this is what a family looks like, but it's not something that, the family with the small child should be going to go see. But who am I to judge someone's parenting styles? Maybe you want your kids to see R-rated movies at that young age. I don't know. That's really not up to me. It's only just a suggestion from myself that to please pay attention to the ratings of movies when you go to see them. The same thing for Deadpool, now the same thing for Logan. Please pay attention to the ratings. Understand the movie that you're about to go see, at least just a little bit, based on just its R rating. But overall, I thought the film was great. It was an amazing kind of wrap-up and end to Hugh Jackman's run as Logan for 17 years, 9 films. Hugh Jackman has done an excellent job playing the Wolverine in X-Men, and I've said it before, it's because of him and the original X-Men in 2000 that we're kind of in this golden age of comic book movie adaptations. This is the last time Hugh Jackman will be playing Logan. In honor of Hugh Jackman's departure from the Logan role after nearly 20 years of playing the role, I want to talk about some of my favorite Wolverine moments. Now, these aren't all Hugh Jackman moments. Just Wolverine as a character from my own experience and reading and seeing different Wolverine moments. These are my top 3 Wolverine moments. Back in 2000, the first X-Men movie that started this whole thing, that was kind of Hugh Jackman's launch to stardom after this movie, is kind of when his career really started to get some traction. He did a fantastic job throughout the entire movie of being that very angry and antisocial kind of wanderer and traveler of Logan before he finds kind of a family unit at Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. He never gets along with Cyclops because they're fighting over Jean Grey. After the last battle, after Wolverine fights Mystique, who is disguised as Wolverine, he shows back up and Cyclops is very wary of him if he's the real Logan, and he basically proves himself by saying, "You're a dick," calling Cyclops a dick. And it was just a really funny moment. Now in 2017, being 27 years old, it may not be the funniest line in movies that I've ever seen, but as a 10-year-old child, I thought that was pretty damn funny, and it's something that's always stuck with me, and I just thought it was really funny. My second moment isn't from an X-Men movie or a Wolverine movie or even from an X-Men comic as far as I know, but it comes from the Deadpool video game, of which Wolverine and other members of the X-Men are side characters. Deadpool finally gets to fly the X-Jet and crashes, trying to find and stop Mr. Sinister from making more cloned X-Men. After Deadpool crashes the plane, he's taking off the unconscious bodies of the X-Men and dropping them off, and he drops off Wolverine and he starts slapping him repeatedly. This is a moment where you get to take control of Deadpool, and you yourself get to press the A button to keep slapping Wolverine. And with every single slap, he says some witty line referring to Wolverine about him being short, about him being hairy, about him being a fellow Canadian. And it's just, again, it's a very funny moment. Not so much a Wolverine moment, but something where Wolverine is involved and Deadpool is slapping him repeatedly. Third comes from the comics. Now, I admit, I'm not the biggest comic reader. I have not read where this panel comes from in it, but doing some research, I come to understand it comes from a comic that Joss Whedon did, which I'm a lifelong Joss Whedon fan, so I'm now not surprised that I really like this panel and that I've always remembered it. I don't know the full context of the scene, but it has a woman coming in and Logan kind of slumped down against the wall, surrounded by beer cans, and the woman asks, "Can I help?" and he responds, "Are you a beer?" It's just a very funny and very Wolverine-esque moment from that character. Now, I said my top 3, but I do have one, bonus moment, and this is another one from the movies, and this is from the bloopers of X-Men Days of Future Past, which, in my opinion, is the best X-Men movie. Don't get me wrong, Logan is fantastic, but I don't think it's as good as Days of Future Past was. but it's in the credits, and it's before Wolverine is sent back through time, and he's speaking with Storm about how once he goes back in time and changes everything, no one's going to remember any of this happening except him, and she's going to say yes. So he turns around and he kisses her, and then Halle Berry, jokes around and freaks out. And again, just a very funny moment. So admittedly, from a very violent and action-packed character, some of my favorite and most memorable moments come from the comedy of the character, probably because comedy is something that's a little less expected from the character. He's a very dark kind of anti-hero. He does care about saving people, he does care about helping people, but he's not going to show that because that's just not who he is. So whenever there are funny moments or light moments, those definitely stand out for me. And there were a lot of those kind of moments in Logan. A lot of his bickering with Professor Xavier, who they are basically an old married couple in this film, or his speaking with X-23 Laura. It's just really funny to see him kind of interacting with these characters that he really wants nothing to do with, but for whatever reasons, he's letting himself be dragged along on this adventure. Hugh Jackman did a fantastic job in Logan and just in all of the X-Men movies, even though two of them were basically just cameos in First Class and Age of Apocalypse. But his role as Wolverine has always been fantastic and always been something enjoyable to watch. So it's going to be sad to have Hugh Jackman finally hanging up the claws, letting someone new take on the role of Wolverine. I'm sure there are a lot of really talented actors who can take on that role. I'm excited to see who they choose in the next X-Men film, in whatever direction they choose to take the X-Men franchise. I know there's a lot of uncertainty with if they're going to keep on the timeline that they're doing, or if they're going to reboot it or change it in some drastic way. If they have Wolverine, I'll be very excited to see who they choose to play Wolverine. I think it will be very exciting to see. What are some of your favorite Wolverine moments? Let me know in the comments, and follow me on all the internets. Share this video around so others can join in the conversation, and give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Check out my Patreon to support more of my future content, and visit templeofgeek.com to be your one-stop for all things geek. And subscribe to my channel to geek out some more. Thanks for watching, and have fun. So Captain America, Thor, Hulk.